Hey you guys, cheers. Ooh, so much lipstick on my beer already. So today's video is gonna be a bit of a doozy, a two-part doozy to be exact. I was worried that my makeup was making me look a little bit sick. I don't know if it was because my makeup was going on patchy or because I really am sick. And yeah, I know you're not supposed to be drinking beer while you're sick, but I can tell that this is one of those colds that's just kind of here to stay. So, you know, I'm not gonna go 2 weeks without drinking a beer. Cheers to that. Today I'm gonna be showing you my palette collection. And yeah, I mentioned earlier it's gonna be a doozy. It's a two-part doozy. The first part that I'm gonna be showing you today is my non-eyeshadow palettes, like palettes that have not just eyeshadows in it, but mostly face palettes, a couple lip palettes, and some palettes that have not just eyeshadows in them, but also face products in them. So I've got like lots of bronzer palettes, blush palettes. All the non-eyeshadow palettes is what I'll be showing you today, and there's quite a few of them. I plan to post this video on Monday, and I'm going to be posting the next video on Wednesday. That's going to be my eyeshadow palette collection. Full disclosure, this is not the collection of somebody that has a healthy relationship with makeup. This is the palette collection of somebody that has a problem. Yes, I am a makeup artist, and yes, I do use a lot of stuff in my kit, and I collect a lot of stuff because I love makeup, and I have this YouTube channel, and I like to do very creative stuff, so I like to have a big variety of different colors and textures I can use. There's a limit, and this excessive, gigantic, completely insane palette collection is the reason I'm doing a no-buy year. So without further ado, this is going to be a pretty long video. Let's go ahead and talk about my palettes. First, I'm going to show you my non-eyeshadow palettes, my face palettes. Okay, here we go. Okay, so these are my face palettes, and like palettes that aren't just exclusively eyeshadow palettes. I forgot to mention that this video is going to be a little bit of a declutter, but it's not going to be very cutthroat because the reason I'm taking on this no-buy year is because I have so many wonderful products that I never really use because I keep acquiring more. A lot of the things that I was excited about getting when at first glance I never really got a chance to use because I keep acquiring more stuff. So this year is going to be an exercise in really getting to know my collection and really getting to know the products and really getting a better sense of how they perform by actually using them and being appreciative of the products I have. Let's go ahead and start going through everything. Now that I've made this big mess, let me just clean it up. Have a sloppy lipstick sip. So let's go ahead and start with my Anastasia palettes. These are just my Anastasia face palettes. Let's go ahead and first start off with my brow palette. This is an essential staple for me in my freelancing kit. I don't use it too often because I have the full range of brow wizzes that I go for more often, but these are awesome for people who are going in for lighter kind of brow looks. And yeah, a little bit of everything here. I've only had this about a year, so I'm gonna hold on to this. This is probably one of my favorite Anastasia face palette. This is the Moonchild Glow Kit. Probably one of the best colorful highlighter palettes on the market. Love the color Lucky Clover. Anytime I go in and try to do any kind of like punky holographic kind of look, I use this palette all the time. Definitely staying in the collection. I love this thing. Really beautiful, light little holographic, shimmery, iridescent kind of colors. This is a brand new addition to my collection. I just got this, I think back in November at a TJ Maxx. This is the Anastasia Aurora palette. Haven't used this a ton, however, Lyra did smash basically right when I got it. First couple times I used this palette, I smashed Lyra, but I was able to repress it pretty nicely. If you look closely, you can tell that it's a little bit of a different deal than the rest, but I actually really love the color Lyra. It's like a lovely little orange kind of highlight. I haven't used clips very much yet. I haven't used this palette very much at all yet. This is a new palette in my collection. I'm curious to see how different Helia looks to Lucky Clover. Oh yeah, it's much more golden. I don't know if you can see those swatches at all. Those are really fun colors. Really excited to have found Aurora at TJ Maxx. I only paid like 20 bucks for this. So this is also a new addition to my collection. This is the Anastasia Glow Kit in Sugar. Oh my god, it's broken. I think I just broke it by tossing it around. Well, that's okay. I can fix it. But yeah, this has barely been used because it's kind of new. So let me just close this up carefully, and I'm gonna pre-press it the best I can. This is the first, I think, Anastasia Glow Kit I bought. This is the one in Gleam, and it actually has some of the same colors as the Sugar does. Also has the color Starburst that the Sugar Kit has. Hard candy color has always been kind of fun. It's a little bit different. It's like got a bit of a pink reflect, but it's pretty dark. So that's kind of meant for like a deeper skin tone. I think Crushed Pearl is the one that I use the most. Also a really pretty face palette, highlighter palette. Now that I'm swatching it, Starburst and Pearl are pretty close, but they have a subtle undertone that's different. It's my middle child of my Anastasia Glow Kits. This is Sun Dipped, and I think this is the most used that I have. But I use this one in my kit a lot because it's a little bit designed for darker skin tones, but Summer's really awesome for me. That's a really beautiful champagne-y gold kind of highlight. And Moonstone's really nice too. But these bronzy ones, they make great eyeshadows, and they also make beautiful highlights for deeper skin tones. I'm running out of arm space. So those are my Anastasia palettes. Next up I'll show you my Morphe palettes. These blush palettes are actually in my Project Pan. This is Morphe 9N. I've used it a little bit since the Project Pan intro video, but not a ton. That's a really beautiful blush palette from Morphe. The Morphe 9N. I actually think I bought this because of Jaclyn Hill. But yeah, I'm holding on to those because they are in my Project Pan. And then this is the Morphe 9 BZ, their bronzer palette. I've gotten a pretty good use of it because I use it on set a lot. This was great for a gig I had where I'd have to do a bunch of male grooming on a African-American actor, and I was using some of these darker shades as a setting powder to just kind of take down shininess on him, and that was working really well for that. But otherwise, I don't use this very much at all. I used it a lot that day, but yeah, I think I need to use it a little bit more. This might go into the Purgatory box, so next time I do a eyeshadow palette video, this might get decluttered. We'll see. Let's go ahead and talk about my Smashbox palettes. Something I forgot to mention is that I looked everywhere. I couldn't find anywhere. I have an Anastasia lip palette, and I just can't find it anywhere. I'm sure it will turn up somewhere stupid, but I looked really hard and I couldn't quite find it. So that is a really nice palette. I'd like to keep it, but it is missing. Maybe I'll even find it today because I'm going through all my palettes. So next up is this Smashbox Masterclass palette. This is actually also my Project Pan because it's something that hasn't been used quite enough. It's got really pretty nice eyeshadows here. You can get some really cohesive, comprehensive looks with that. These blushes are gorgeous. I used this in my kit a lot back in the day because of the color correctors. Color correctors used to be really big, not so much anymore. But I am keeping this in my Project Pan to see if I can get a little bit more use out of this, to get to know this palette a little bit better. Here I have my Smashbox 75th Anniversary Lip Palette. I use this in my kit quite a bit, but not a lot lately. I'm more likely to go towards my depotted lip palettes, and my Anastasia lip palette. I'm really hoping I didn't accidentally lose my Anastasia palette, like leave it behind at a gig. Holding on to that for a little while longer, but I might be decluttering that soon because it's getting up there in age. I guess next up I'll just show you my two depotted lip palettes. This one's a little bit newer. It doesn't have a ton in it. I only have a couple little samples of Dior lipstick in there. I don't really love the Dior lipstick formula, by the way. It's a little bit greasy, it moves around quite a bit. This I have to fix up soon. Repot some of these lipsticks and just get rid of some of the older ones. But I've got a couple MAC lipsticks up here. Down here I have some Urban Decay. I've got some Marc Jacobs. Marc Jacobs is probably the ones that I use at gigs the most. I got a couple of Bobbi Browns in here. What else do I have? Some Beer&Beauty, some Sephora, some Makeup Forever. This is probably the lip palette that I use the most. Custom lip palette. That way you don't have to spend a lot of time searching for lipsticks while you're working on clients. I guess if we're still talking about makeup artist things, I'll talk about my two RCMA foundation concealer palettes, the Vincent Kehoe palettes. I have both of them. This one I think I got for free. I got it at Ebates in Toronto, and I didn't quite have enough cash and I couldn't take it out, and the woman behind the counter was just like, you know what, take it, enjoy it, you know, hopefully this will make you think well of Canadians. And I'm like, for sure I will. Oh my god, that was such a cool, I don't know, cool thing to get. And I need to use this way more. As you can see, it has been dipped into quite a bit, but needs to be dipped in more for sure. If you're starting out as a makeup artist, this is a great way to have a lot of foundation shades and just kind of be able to manipulate foundation shades. This one I've had a little bit longer. This is a lighter one. This is the one I use on myself mostly if I'm doing any kind of intense special effects looks. But as you can see, this light one's almost all gone. I got recommended these from Julia Bay, but also Kenny Johnson used to use these a ton when she would do really intense like makeup looks. So those are awesome. Definitely hold on to those. They still come in handy in the kit a lot. This is a new brand I recently discovered. This is Linda Hallberg, and first I've got the Enchanted Secrets highlighter palette. Look at how beautiful it is. I think I bought it because just the look of this palette is just so stunning. It's so, like, the embossing just kind of got to me. You know, when you swatch it, it's not quite as cool as the Anastasia, but it's still really beautiful. It's a little bit more sparkly. I think this is more designed to be of like an eyeshadow topper. Really beautiful. Kind of reminds me of the Urban Decay Moon Dust kind of. Oh, actually, now that I'm swatching it again, I'm liking it better than when I first got it. The sparkle is really fine and really kind of reflective and pretty. Now I'm inspired to use this even more. That is the Linda Hallberg Enchanted Secrets palette. This one, when I first got it, I was using it all the time. This is the Infinity Deep palette from Linda Hallberg. I especially loved it for this shade. This red shade was really kind of improving my life in a lot of ways. Let me just go, like, it doesn't swatch very well. It just kind of has a whatever kind of swatching performance. It's really awesome for blending out different looks. Yeah, these shadows are designed for deeper skin tones, but this palette can be used as a contour. This is actually a pretty good contour shade for me. Even though this palette is designed for deeper skin tones, I bought it specifically because of this red. This red can be used as a blush. These can be used as highlighters. I think I might use this a lot for contouring this year because this is a really good contouring color for me. Loving this palette a lot so far. Keeping up with makeup artist things, these are my two Makeup Forever Flash palettes. These actually get quite a bit of love. This is more of like a foundation palette. This is kind of in the same realm as the RCMA palettes, but the RCMA formula is a little bit more pigmented than this. This is a little bit more, you know, calmer, I suppose. And this is essential. Every time Halloween rolls around, this is the Makeup Forever Flash palette. These colors are super pigmented and they're so easy to blend. I use it in conjunction. I have a bunch of like Ben Nye colors that are specifically they're cream makeups that are great for different special effects. Any of those colors are ever like not red enough or not pink enough, I dip into this palette to improve those colors, and it's super versatile in its own right. It's awesome. Next up is my Cheek Parade palette from Benefit. Inside we have a couple of really kind of cult products from Benefit. Like this palette I kind of specifically use when I'm freelancing, but I tend to use Dandelion on clients a ton. And then I've got Hoola and Hoola Light in here in case Hoola Light has actually come in handy quite a bit because I've had a handful of clients that have super pale skin and most bronzers are a little bit too dark on them. So Hoola Light is made for those people. And yeah, a little bit of Rockateur. I haven't used California too much. I find it too shiny. I don't know. I'm not really somebody that really loves super shiny blushes. I like matte blushes and I like to add a highlighter on the high points of the face, but I feel like when your whole cheek is shiny, it's a confusing look. I don't know, but that's just me. This is a new addition to my collection. I just got this. This is actually a thing I think I panic bought before the no-buy year. Opened it up once before to make sure it wasn't smashed, but I might have just smashed it. Nope, still looking okay. This is the Ofra Cosmetics. This is the Pro Boho palette, so it's got a bunch of eyeshadows in here. I'll go ahead and take this off because I plan on using this soon. Look, it just looks so stunning. Like, I'm not gonna swatch it yet because I haven't used it yet. I'm waiting to really kind of give it a first impressions. But yeah, we got some cult items in here. We got Rodeo Drive, we got Blissful, we got a banana powder in here. I think these could be used as contour shades, I'm not sure. A couple of eyeshadows, and a few shimmers, and some really nice mattes. These are really nice and dark. I felt like this was a really great palette for artists. I'm really excited to use this in my kit. Yeah, this is a new addition. As you can see, I just took it out of the box. Haven't used it yet, so definitely keeping that around for a while. This really is more of an eyeshadow palette, but it does have highlights in it, so I'm going to show it in this segment just because the other segment's going to be 10 times longer. But this is my Carly Bybel Deluxe Edition shadow palette. So down here is all the highlighter shades, and up here is the eyeshadows. This is from It Cosmetics, by the way. Really nice palette. I actually reach for this a lot because I like the pink highlights in here. Let me go ahead and swatch them. So whenever I'm looking for like a light pink highlight, I kind of go in for that one. These are a little bit more neutral, but this is still nice and pink. Really nice palette. Like, this actually is a perfect bridal palette, so on some of my more budget kind of gigs I've done, I've brought her out for like shorter events. And it's a really beautiful palette, easy to work with. That's probably my favorite shadow in the palette right here. It's this little pink one. It's swatched at the bottom there. The neutrals are really kind of good, like awesome. And I've actually used, it seems like I've dipped into this quite a bit now that I think about it. But really good palette, definitely holding on to that. Love the Carly Bybel BH Cosmetics palette. Here's another eyeshadow slash face palette that I think is one of my favorites. I travel with this all the time. This is my In the Palm of Your Hand Volume 2 from the Balm palette, and up here we got some eyeshadows. Down here we've got Mary Luminizer, which is their cult highlighter. These blushes are stunning and this bronzer is stunning. So I really love taking this palette with me when I'm traveling. That way I can conserve some space, and I have a variety of blushes I can wear. This is a really awesome palette to take if you're trying to pack light when you're traveling. Let me just swatch a little bit of Mary Lou there. Isn't she pretty? Look at all my swatches. I gotta clean this off. Next up, I'll show you my little Hourglass palettes. These are kind of some prized possessions. This is my #1 favorite piece of gratis I ever got from Sephora. I love this palette. I've hit pan on this guy right here. I love these blushes. This is Moonlight, Dim Light, Luminous Flush, and this bronzer is gorgeous. They're getting pretty flat, actually. I haven't used these a ton, but I love this palette so much. Definitely going to be keeping it an essential to use in my kit as well. This palette right here is in my Project Pan. This is the Ambient Lighting palette from Hourglass, and this gets a ton of use too. I'm currently trying to pan diffused light, but I'm just kind of trying to use this palette a lot more too. That's why I put it in the Project Pan. Really beautiful. Dim light especially is a great color. Like, I use it all the time as a finishing powder and a smoothing powder to make any kind of look glowy, and it's awesome for bridal too. So I love this palette. An essential palette, well, you know, I'm trying to replace this palette, but this is Kat Von D Shade and Light. Mine's pretty old, it's pretty beat up. I've ever so slightly hit pan on this shade right here, but for the longest time this was my only contouring product, and I was very satisfied with it as my only contouring product. But now that I'm beginning to use this up, I'm still going to continue to use this because, you know, it's already in the works and being used, and it is really versatile. I'd hate to say it, and it does really do a fine job contouring, so I'm going to use it up. But I'm going to try to maybe see about using some Linda Hallberg products instead for contouring, or use bronzers or what have you. But yeah, that's Kat Von D Shade and Light. I've got two Pure products here. Both of these I got in a BoxyCharm. This is just like a little contour highlight palette. I thought that these contour shades are way too dark for me. They're okay, but I don't know, not my favorite. They do kind of smell like chocolate. I can't smell it right now because my nose is all stuffed up, but these highlighters are actually quite nice, and that's why I kind of keep around this palette. You can see right there, they swatch pretty beautifully. Yeah, these two shades actually swatch quite differently too. They look pretty similar in the pan, but they swatch quite differently. This is kind of on the chopping block though. If I don't use it by the next time I make one of these videos, I might be decluttering it. I'm gonna list this on my Poshmark, you guys. Just not using it enough, you know, and the highlights are very nice. So if you're interested in this, it will be listed on my Poshmark. When I got this palette, I was super excited, but unfortunately, this is the Pure Cosmetics Midnight Masquerade palette. I love carnival culture, I love masquerades, I love Mardi Gras and Venetian Carnival and stuff, so I was really inspired and excited about this palette. I thought these colors were really beautiful, but unfortunately these eyeshadows do not pack the punch that I wanted. I use these shadows quite a bit, and the matte is a little bit too chalky, the shimmers don't pack as much of a punch as I would like them to. You can even kind of tell from the swatches. They're just, I don't know. They're nice, they're okay, you can build them up and get them to work, but I was expecting like a bam pow kind of look. So my overall consensus is meh. These face products are quite nice though. I was especially excited about this purple. I didn't think purple would work on me quite very much, and I thought I could maybe even use that as like a blush or like an eyeshadow. But I used that as a blush and it did look quite nice. I might even insert a picture. And it does actually work quite nice as a blush on me. It is dramatic though. Haven't used this. Really bright though. Very pink. These highlights look very beautiful. The embossing's really beautiful on these guys. I don't know if you can see. But they've got a little lace kind of Venetian mask kind of embossing. You know, the highlights in the first palette are a little bit better than the highlights in this palette. This is on the chopping block. Gotta hold on to it for now. If I don't use it before the next one of these videos, I will be selling it on my Poshmark or maybe give it to a friend. I don't want to give up on it quite yet though. I do want to give it more of a chance. This is a Tarte blush book that I have. This one's I think from Holiday 2017. It has gotten quite a bit of love, but it could be loved more. I primarily use this to gig with. Really nice variety of blushes, a couple highlighters in here too, but actually now that I think about it, I mostly use this color and this color. Those are the two colors I use the most. This has not been touched whatsoever. I use this highlight quite a bit, and I go in for this color sometimes on some of my deeper toned clients. I think this needs to get a little bit more love. I do use this quite a bit. I do think about it quite a lot, and it's a nice palette. And Tarte's Blush Formula, it's pretty nice. I guess next up I'll show you my two Becca palettes. This one's the Becca Jaclyn Hill collab. I've dipped into Champagne Pop quite a bit. I have used every color in this palette, but I think I pick it up for the highlights the most. For the longest time, you could only get Prosecco Pop in this palette, but recently they started selling it as a individual. These are all blushes. You know what? I'm interested in using this brown blush a little bit more. Kind of intrigued by the idea of having a brown blush, but yeah. I wonder how Champagne Pop looks next to that one. It's definitely a little bit more blingy. It's very much an in-between those two from the Pure Cosmetics palette. And while we're here, let's swatch Prosecco Pop. Really gold. Nice gold highlight. And next up, I really love this palette. This is the Chrissy Teigen collab palette from Becca. And in here we have the Rose Quartz. This is the highlight that Chrissy Teigen created. That's called Beach Nectar. It is gorgeous. When I first got this palette, I couldn't put this down. And recently, I've been really digging deep into this bronzer. This is the Malibu Soleil bronzer from Becca, and it might be my favorite right now. Like, I've been reaching for this palette a lot so I could use this highlight and also this bronzer. And I do need to use this blush a little bit more. It's a little bit intimidating. It's very bright. You know what? Now that I think about it, that is kind of the blush you might see on Chrissy Teigen. Let's do a little swatch-a-rooney. Oh yeah, it's kind of like the one from the Pure Cosmetics palette, but a little more muted. And you want colors to be a little bit more muted when it comes to blush. Let's swatch Beach Nectar next to all those highlights. Yeah, it's got a beautiful, it's like a beautiful peach highlighter, which I think is awesome. This is my one Wander Beauty palette I have. This is the Wandress Dusk Till Dawn palette. It's just like a little cheek palette. I am wearing this on my cheeks today. Really pretty. This is brand new too. I just got it in my BoxyLuxe BoxyCharm. I've only used it like a handful of times, 2 or 3 times, but it's really nice. I like it. Definitely holding on to that for now. Few more highlighter palettes. Here's my Milk palette. This is just like a holographic powder highlight quad. This was like on sale during the holiday season. I think this is a really underrated like colorful highlighter quad. I wish I kind of didn't wash off all my swatches from earlier, but this really kind of swatches unique. This is a beautiful blue kind of highlight with like depending on how you hit the light, it kind of looks like a touch of purple and a touch of green. Really pretty, love that a lot. I'm wearing this like pinkish highlight in my inner corners and a little bit on my cheeks. I kind of have these 3 kind of mixed together in my cheeks. This one has kind of like a really dim light effect. The way it kind of shifts in the light is very interesting and cool. The white is nice to change the colors of different highlights. Holding on to this one, really nice. Here's another classic little highlighter palette. This is the Innuendo palette from ColourPop, and it's all highlights. I've barely used this. This is pretty new, but I haven't gotten to know it quite well enough yet, so I'm gonna be holding on to that. This is my Sleek Makeup highlighter palette. This is like bomb. This is the blingiest kind of highlighter, like powder highlight you can get on the market, I think. Let me try to swatch them. This little pink, peachy pink number is really awesome. Oh yeah. As you can see, that's the brightest one on my arm there. Let me swatch the white next to it. Even blingier. Something cool to do is take this cream highlight, and when you add powder products on top, it's like wham bam, thank you ma'am. It's super, super bright. I need to use this way more. Only 15 bucks or so for this palette though, so really kind of worth it for as blingy of a highlight as you can get. This I think I got in a Nipsey bag. This is just like a little Pacifica blush palette. I've barely used it. Got 2 e.l.f. palettes that this one I got with a gift card for my birthday at Old Navy from e.l.f. I really want to use this this blush palette a lot more. And this color correcting powder palette I got for Christmas for my boyfriend. Haven't really figured out how to use this. Like, when would you use a blue color correcting powder? Let me know down in the comments, because I'm truly stumped. That might be on the chopping block. I might end up putting this on my Poshmark page. I'm not sure yet. This is another thing that my boyfriend got me. It was featured in my boyfriend buys my makeup video. I don't think I've used this actually. Maybe, I think I might add it on my Poshmark page just because I've got so many palettes. I don't think this is gonna really kind of make a big difference in my collection, so maybe it will make a big difference in somebody else's collection. This is a little L'Oreal lip palette that my boyfriend got for me. Also was featured in the boyfriend buys my makeup video. Oh, I even used a little lip brush it came with. I actually thought this was kind of a nice palette. It was nice. It like saved the look in that video, so that was nice. And this is also from my boyfriend, the little contour palette. I think I just used it the one time when I made the boyfriend buys my makeup video, but I remember it being pretty wet, pretty good. It kind of surprising me to its quality. So this is a LA Girl contour palette, and I intend to hold on to it. So that is it, guys. That is the face palette collection, or the non-eyeshadow palette collection, or like not completely eyeshadow palette collection. But yeah, that was that portion of the video. I counted and I believe I had about 42 or 43 palettes. A handful of them that are going to be going up on my Poshmark. The link will be down below if you want to check that out. Some of them are going to be going into a purgatory box, meaning that I'm going to see if they get used in the next couple months, and by the next time I go through and declutter my palettes again, and if I don't use it enough, learn to have a love for it, it's gonna get decluttered. And next up is gonna be my eyeshadow palette collection, so stay tuned for that. That one's gonna be way bigger, way crazier. I just counted my eyeshadow palettes and there's 102. If that's already up, I'm gonna post this video on Monday, and then the eyeshadow palette video is gonna go up on Wednesday or Thursday, depending on how busy or sick I get next week. But I'll link that down below once I do post both. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. If you guys wanted to talk me out of holding on to more palettes, if you wanted to talk me into giving you one of my palettes, tell me your comments down below. Maybe it'll work. I want to cut down on my collection. I want to make more space in my apartment this year, so declutter series. Yeah! Thanks for watching, guys, and cheers. I'll be hanging out with you again soon.